What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Wednesday night's late night agenda, where as always I'm going to do my best to keep you up to date with where we're at in this summer's transfer window. We have, looks like, agreed a deal to bring in Georgi Mamaradashvili in 2025, so we'll talk about that. I see a lot of people asking about Zubimendi. To the best of my understanding, as I sit here right now, there isn't any indication that that deal can be or is being resurrected, but that's not to say it isn't possible. You know, I did ask the question to David Lynch when we spoke yesterday, do you think this deal could be revived? And he was pretty strong in his belief that not as far as Liverpool are concerned, no. They're certainly not going to want to get drawn into another embarrassing situation with the player in his camp. Now, we'll talk about his contract and what's going on with Sociedad, maybe not giving him the pay increase he was expecting, but we'll talk about that over the course of the next couple of hours as well. It's not done yet, the deal. It's done if I say it's done, mate, in my mind. With all due respect, I'm the one with the microphone here, and I'm the one that's been reporting on the deal for the last 8-9 days, and the deal is pretty much done. It just has to jump through a few hoops with regards to structure of fees and stuff. The player's going to go on loan to Bournemouth, and then Liverpool will technically sign him in 2025. So it is pretty much done and dusted, mate, yes. I don't need to be told. Do you know what? I don't even want to hear anymore about some journalist said X, Y, or Z, because these journalists have all been telling porkies all summer. I'm going to talk about the James Pearce Liverpool aren't actively looking to bring in a goalkeeper scenario. Well, how's that working out? You know, and that's coming from somebody working for The Athletic. So trust me if I say I'm going to stick to the people who I believe, and you, of course, are free to do the very same. But yeah, I think a lot of journalists haven't really covered themselves in glory in this summer window so far. Right, let me just get the first super chat of the night up. 1 second. Why is it coming up on my end of the system here? Sorry, Stevie boy. I can see your comment in there, but it's not showing up on my back end system. 1 second. Right, Stevie, I'm going to have to just read this one out, mate, because for some reason it's not showing up on my back-end system here like it should. Give me the ability to bring this up on screen. I hate when things don't work. What plan have the Chuckle brothers got in case Verge, Trent, Mo and Alisson leave the club? Worrying times. Well, again, Alisson we'll talk about tonight, because a lot of people are going to be stressed about why we're signing a goalkeeper. Is there something that's going to happen in the next month or two? No, I don't believe that's the case. Mohamed Salah, I never believed it was going to go past this season. Yeah, sorry, I'm just still trying to figure out why my back-end system here isn't working, and it does my head in because it costs a lot of money. So bear with me as I look at that. There's another super chat that's just come in, though. Actually, I want to finish off with more of your questions, mate. Sorry. So Trent, I think you'll see a contract extension sorted there. There we go. There we go. Now they're coming through. There we go. Let me get this up on screen for you. Thank you, Stevie boy. Thankfully they're working now. There you go. Thank you to Connor as well for sorting that out in the background. Cool. Right, so Mohamed Salah's going to leave in the end of the season by the looks of it. Trent to do contract next week, maybe. Conversations about that. At least that's what's been reported. I have no idea on the Virgil situation, mate. None. Right. This is kind of where I'm going with tonight's stream. So you've kind of summarised it perfectly well. So we've made 50 million and spent nothing. Remember, we only made Champions League one time in 6 years pre-Klopp. Think it's going to be the same again. FSG out. So I'm not as defeatist on the Champions League qualification part. I do think we'll get that. But that's not our goal, mate, is it? You know, Roy, our goal isn't to just qualify for the Champions League. It's to win titles under these owners. So for me, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that they're once again doing nothing. And as you said, we've sold Fabio Carvalho. We've got the money in from Solanke. We've now sold or agreed a deal to sell Bobby Clark to Salzburg. That was all confirmed today as well. And as of yet, nobody available to strengthen the squad for this upcoming season. It's an absolute joke. You're right to be annoyed about it. Are we going back in for Zubimendi? 60 million bid. Well, the price of the deal with regards to buying the player was never really in question with regards to the amount. It was a set amount that was in his release clause. You could argue we were trying to pay a little bit more, but it was the player who said no. And I've not been told or seen anything to indicate that that has changed. Now, I'm going to talk tonight about what may be going on with him and Sociedad and how him and his agent could be playing hardball there. But I've no information at this point that Liverpool are going to return in for Zubimendi. All I can say again is when I spoke with David Lynch yesterday, he said he would be very, very, very surprised if indeed we went back in from. So unless it's reported by somebody who we hold in high regard, I would say it's probably just people trying to bait you into building your hopes up again and then having them dashed. Gary Weiss said, deservedly, FSG are getting massively slated on X. So, the first word of that, I absolutely agree with, mate. Deservedly. Because they do deserve it. Now, I want to make one thing really clear, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything. Let's stick to the football side of this. So, if you're on X and you're replying to Linda post or any post, please don't get personal. Please don't make anything vile. Nothing like that. Stick to the matters. FSG are cheap. FSG are refusing to strengthen. These are the things that we should be angry about, but there's never any need, and I would never want anyone to get personal or, start mocking people or anything like that. Let's just stick to the facts. You're not good enough. Do your job. Spend money or sell the club. That, I think, everybody has a right to voice, but it's about doing these things in the right way, right? So, as much as I shout and moan, where's the money, John? You'll never see me attacking his wife or anything like that because it's disgusting and it's not how we go about things. But I'm glad they're getting slaughtered on social media because they should be. Mark, thank you for gifting a membership, mate. Appreciate that. Carl, how are you, bro? Carl said, I trust you, Craig, but I don't trust the owners. So until I see a person physically walk through the door at Anfield, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, you probably won't see him walk through the door at Anfield this summer at all, Carl, to be honest, because he's not going to technically sign for Liverpool in this summer window. He's going to be loaned from Valencia to Bournemouth, and then Liverpool have a cast iron agreement to buy him in next summer's window. The reason for that is if Liverpool bought him now, we couldn't loan him to Bournemouth. You can't buy a player and loan a player to a club in the same league in the one window. Hence why this took a little while to negotiate. So Liverpool will agree a 30 to 35 million euro fee inclusive of add-ons. The player will move to Bournemouth on loan for the season and then will come and join Liverpool next summer. What happens with Alisson Becker? Well, we can talk about that as well. I don't know the answer, but you would imagine the very least Liverpool are succession planning, and there's nothing wrong with that, because if we got caught with our pants down next summer and Alisson wanted to move or something like that happened, the price tag is going to go up when you start looking for players when you're desperate. So I've nothing against this deal. I think it's quite sensible, but it doesn't help us right now. We need to get focused on this summer. Ian Greenstreet said, hi Craig, are we going to sign anyone? I don't know. I've paused there to try and answer your question because I want to believe we are, of course, but I don't know if I'm deluding myself by even thinking we might sign somebody, mate. It is incredibly disappointing in this window to see owners not giving a damn. And I'm glad, as somebody said, I'm glad they're getting called out for it. Because how on earth they can think that this is in any way acceptable is just, quite frankly, amazing. Ian Greenscreen, thank you for gifting 5 memberships, mate. Look, I want to read something out to you on Zubimendi, because this is the only thing we've really seen or paid attention to around some issues with him and Sociedad. So, Paul Joyce put out a piece that said, interestingly, 2 separate sources said on Tuesday that discussions on a new contract for Zubimendi and Real Sociedad were now proving problematic, with Sociedad presumably on the receiving end of a game of hardball. So that really doesn't mean much to us, you know. It doesn't give any indication that that he might change his mind and come. It gives an indication that him and his agent are burning a lot of bridges. Let me say that, you know. If Sociedad gave him the big plea to stay, well, you would imagine there would have been some type of agreement there to give him a better contract or whatever, but I can't speak to that at this moment. All I can say is I don't know of any change to our situation. Roy, how are you, mate? Let me just bring up your comment. So, I'm hearing there is a protest before the Brentford game. Is this true? John W. Henry came to England to moan about Chelsea rather than to get his house in order. Let me look into that, Roy, and get back to you, because I don't know the answer to it right now. But I promise you, mate, I will look into that and try and figure out if there is. I hope there is, because we've been lied to again. And do you know what the most damning part of all of this is, for me? When you see so many journalists writing, it was Zubimendi or no one, that Liverpool aren't even looking, contemplating, it was him or nobody. What way is that to run a football club? I get they want to be picky. I get that, you know, you don't want to start signing 4th, 5th, 6th choices. But how many years does it take to find a player? We were told everything was in hand. 2 to 3 signings coming in. Big August. Here we are now, officially, to the day, 2 months into this summer's transfer window that closes in 16 days? Nothing. Nada. Zip. Not even a sniff of anybody coming in to improve the first team. Yet the manager has come out and said he'd be amazed if there wasn't signings, he expects them. Our captain has come out and said it. But the journalists, well, some of them are briefing, I don't know, that Liverpool aren't going in to do anything in the market on a 6. And that is unacceptable. Because every year this position has been kicked down the road. We brought in Endo and wasted that money last year. Now, I'm not saying we wasted it because Endo didn't do a good job. We did. But he was never the longer term solution, so it was always stick and plaster money. It was a lot of money to put down and waste, right? For somebody the new gaffer doesn't believe in. You can see that from his team selection and his lack of minutes really in pre-season. And the fact that he was told that he's free to find another club until we shit the bed with Zubimendi. How can... I feel so guilty with what I'm about to say. I really do. But I have to be consistent. How can James Pearce write on the Athletics deal sheet that sources say that Liverpool aren't actively looking to bring in a goalkeeper in this window, and then matter of hours later, or even around the same time, people were writing about Liverpool in negotiations? And then here we are a day later and it's everywhere. So, again, who are they? Do they not care about their own reputations? Because that's going to come back and be brought up over and over and over and over again. Why would you even write it? Like, I know James knows that we were looking at Georgie Mamardashvili because he said it. So to then go on and say that Liverpool aren't actively, like in the same sentence. I'm going to go back over this and read out exactly what he wrote because it's so baffling to me. He said, Liverpool have been monitoring Valencia's Georgian international, Georgie Mamardashvili, but as things stand, they're not looking to recruit a goalkeeper in this window. How can you lie to a fan base like that? And that's what it is. Because we all knew we were talking with them. Even us idiots that don't have these sources knew that we were talking with them. I'm astonished. Let me bring up this super chat on screen for you, my friend, 1 second. So, Katsande said, it's the fact that the club treats us as idiots. I'm angry. My team acting like losers. I'm waiting till the end of the window to decide to watch the season. That's what they're banking on. They're banking on the season kicking off on Saturday, hoping we get a win away at Ipswich so the good vibes are there in the fan base. We're all happy the season's back underway. Arne Slot picks up his first win. And then they'll just ghost slowly through and do the bare minimum until the window's shut. And then the manipulation will start all over again with the promise of brighter days. Journalists being briefed about big windows. And again, like you've said yourself there, Katsande, we're being spoken to like we're idiots. Like idiots. They've no respect for us, the fan base, who are having to read this drivel from journalists that know damn well what they're writing's horseshit. Carl said, there are plenty of us that have always agreed with you about the owners for a while now. This is why Klopp left. It's not rocket science. Even I, mate, Carl, as outspoken against the owners in the transfer market as I've been, even I thought we'd get those 2 or 3 signings this window. I thought there's surely no way that they have the neck to not get this done, to not sort out the 6th position. Finally, when article after article was written to say how it's so important that we strengthen this position, now all of a sudden, everything they told us about with regards to promising youngsters, developing them, well, we're flogging them. Now, you can say we sold Bobby Clark, we put back a buyback option in it, 17.5% sell-on clause as well, but is he going to be in a rush to come back if he does well at Salzburg, with the club having got rid of him already? And why not just loan him to Salzburg? Why do we have to bring the cash in when we're not doing nothing with it? That's a question I'd love an answer to. So if we're not doing deals, why are we then pumping up the bank balance with promising youngsters departing? Carvalho gone. 18.5 million quid in wages saved from last year, on top of the money we've brought in. And these clowns have brought in nobody. I already want this season over. Laughing stock, said Paul Lorenzo. It's tough, isn't it, Paul? It's tough, mate. You know, it is. It's hard to sit here and be optimistic, you know. Of course we're going to get behind the manager and the players. This doesn't trickle into match days. That's a separate thing. We've every right to be angered, frustrated and let down by these owners. Players and the manager, that's a different situation altogether. We'll be behind them 100%, as we always are. But these chancers over in Boston, they need to be called out for their nonsense. And if this doesn't finally trigger a few people into speaking up, then we know what side their bread's buttered on. They want jam on both sides of the bread. Kyle said journalists need to sell memberships and sell the BS for drama. But it looks and ruins their own reputation. So if I'm a journalist, right, and I was writing an article, which, by the way, if I was writing it, would be full of errors grammatically everywhere. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Why would I write something that I know is incorrect? It's going to hinder my own reputation. I don't care if my publisher is pushing me to write something. Ultimately, it's my name that's on that piece if I'm a journalist. And I know that James Pearce is a good man. James Pearce is a really, really lovely guy. And he's always done his bit for fan channels, never looked down his nose at them. And I honestly really do like him. But I'm baffled how we can write that. So, on Georgi Mamaradashvili, it looks like the structure is going to be 30 million and 5 million in add-ons. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, the rules show that we couldn't buy him now and loan him to Bournemouth. So that's what this all came down to, was how to figure out a way to get around those rules. And that's what they seemingly have done by Valencia agreeing then a loan to Bournemouth, and then Liverpool will have an option, a cast iron guarantee that we have to buy him next summer for the fee we're speaking about. And I'm fine with all of that, but it doesn't help us now. And there's nothing wrong with future proofing, but it should be far down the list of priorities when you've got 3 players who have now 10.5 months on their contracts and you've not signed a damn player. And Manchester United there last night, 2 signings like that on top of the other ones they've made. Now, Sam Maguire wrote that apparently Chelsea tried to sign Mamaradashvili earlier on in the window. Of course they did. They only have 6, 7, 8 goalkeepers at the minute, so you can see the need there for them. But he seemingly has his heart set on a move to Liverpool because he knows that vacancy will eventually be there for Alisson Becker's departure. Now, of course, we all want to know when to expect Alisson Becker's departure because he's in a situation, I think, contractually he's 2 or 3 years to go. I don't know if the club knows something we don't know. I don't know if the club are expecting silly offers to come in from next year from the likes of Saudi Arabia. I don't know if Alisson maybe wants to go back and play in Brazil. I have no idea. But the club are planning for it, so there must be something in the works there. And I'm okay with that. But it still doesn't do a damn thing to help us this season. Roy, let me get your super chat up, mate. So Roy said, 15 million saved in wages. Caicedo money still have 50 million left. Plus 50 million raised this summer. Told Gomez and Endo they can leave for the right money. And don't forget to put in Sepp van den Berg there as well, as being told he can leave for the right money. And now about to turn dependent on them. FSG out. Roy, you know, I've said this a lot, mate, when you've posted, but I don't really have anything to disagree with on that. You know, we're using Joe Gomez as a potential make-weight in the Gordon deal. That never happened. So he knew that. So now he's going to look around and think, if the right offer comes in, am I really part of the plans here? He probably is. But is he part of the plans on a every week starting basis? Not so sure about that. So he's maybe upset. Waturo was definitely informed that the club would listen to offers for him. That's why the whole stuff about the Marseille bid came out into the media 2 weeks after it happened. So obviously Liverpool can ratchet up some more interest. That hasn't happened. Nobody wants to pay the money for Sepp van den Berg, who again is pretty much being told he's available. Eindhoven are walking away because they can't get up to the 20 million Liverpool want. Mainz are holding out, hoping they can get him on loan again. And Carvalho, who actually scored 2 goals in pre-season and looked okay, was also shipped off. So, yeah, lots of that, mate. We're somehow making money in this transfer window. It's madness. Anything on the Zubimendi drama contract at Real Sociedad? I'm aware of the issues that are apparently taking place between him and Sociedad for a new deal. But I have nothing, mate, saying that we're going to go back to the table. It would take a lot of grovelling from him right now. Because there was a piece that came out earlier on. I'm going to read it out to you now. 1 second. So, I know you're all feeling bad about the lack of the Zubimendi deal. But surely this is going to just make you all feel so much happier about life. You'll be delighted to know that Martin Zubimendi thanked Richard Hughes for all of his efforts to bring him to Liverpool in a phone call. Well, that makes it all better, doesn't it? I mean, I know I can sleep better tonight now, knowing that he thanked him for basically helping him leverage a better contract at a Sociedad. I wouldn't mind a phone call with Richard Hughes. I'd have a couple of things I'd like to thank him for fucking up the transfer window, for making us believe and then make us angry, for coming in and not hitting the ground running. I'd love that phone call, as I'm sure a lot of Liverpool fans would. Imagine ringing somebody. Imagine having the balls to ring somebody and go, yeah, thanks for trying to sign me. I'm really sorry that I Mickey teased you for the entire summer and then decided that I was staying put, but cheers, bud. Do you know what I mean? TAA 66, how are you, sir? Said, is that not up? One sec. Hi, bro. Hope you're well. Is there anything new on Trent's contract, and would you sell Salah if an offer came in? We are no longer in for midfielder. I've washed my hands with FSG. Can't stand them. So, okay, bit by bit. On Trent, nothing to say it's imminent, no. The images that were doing the rounds yesterday apparently was something to do with a partnership with, could be LucasAid or something, maybe a bit of filming around that. You'd imagine it has to get done now, because the club can't allow Trent to not be signed up by the end of this window. You know, we can sign Trent to a new deal at any point, but once this window goes by, then you come towards January, and Real Madrid know we can sign a pre-contract there and go there next summer for free. So you've got to make sure you nip that in the bud quickly. And if you're Trent and Trent's agent now, and I mean no disparaging remarks towards Trent about this, you're going to leverage the crap out of this and get an ungodly amount of money from Liverpool, who you know that you have lubed up over the kitchen table ready to go, because they cannot afford not to sign Trent to a new deal. So Trent's agent must be just writing down numbers on a piece of paper now and just sliding them across the table, winking at Edwards and Hughes. And was there anything else? The stuff about the midfielder is the part of all of this, TAA 66, that drives me up the wall. I think every single one of us on a human level can understand maybe a player not wanting to leave his hometown club. And yet, it didn't work out for us and it looked crap. But the real angering part of it for me was the almost immediate briefing of, it looks highly unlikely that Liverpool will look to add anybody else in that area of the pitch in this market. That it was Zubimendi or nobody. That is inexcusable, to have that one name list and not get it done. So how do we not have time to go and look for somebody like an Ederson, who apparently, and I'm not watching, is having a good game tonight? And people will still try to defend the owners and go, well, they just couldn't get him. They tried. Okay, great, but as I've said many times, you could try and date Margot Robbie and spend 6 months sending her messages saying, any chance? And when the obvious no comes, you can go, wait, I tried. I nearly went out with Margot Robbie. Harry said, I think we only get Gordon if we have sales. Well, I've wondered all summer why we've seen so much about Diaz without any real concrete offers. And I can only assume that the club are looking to manipulate Diaz out to bring in Gordon. But that's just my own thought process on it. I don't have anything to back that up. But like I've said, all summer, nobody, and then the Athletic, all of a sudden, 75 million, won't drop a penny, don't even ask. That's Liverpool's price for Diaz. Nobody was interested. Barcelona went and signed Olmo. Window goes on a little bit. Then all of a sudden, it was 50 million or Liverpool won't talk. 50 million is the number for Diaz, trying to bait interest. So what happens if we sold Diaz and Newcastle didn't want to do business? Then we're down another player. So John W. Henry's then over there now, and the bank balance is going ching, 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 and we're all sitting at home going, is there going to be anyone left for Arne Slot to coach improvements into? Anthony Packer said, with these sales, we must be plotting something big. You'd certainly hope so, bro. You know? We'd all love it. Like, none of us take any pleasure in sitting here talking about this failure of a window. I would very much love to be on here tomorrow going, they did it. They pulled it out of the bag. Here comes X, Y, and Z. It would make me so happy, because I tell you what, whatever you think about fan channels when stuff's going bad, I can promise you, I don't care how high our numbers go when the loser around Liverpool is bad. I don't care, because it stops me sleeping. It stops me being able to function like a normal human being, because I'm so riled up and angered by the failures, because I know it's half-arsed. If we really wanted to go and sort things out in this window, we could do it. That's what bugs me the most. And that's what, that's why I'm working off about 4.5 hours sleep in total since this Zubimendi deal fell apart. Because I've played about 150 games of solitaire just trying to distract my mind, because I'm just getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And I know people will say chill, but I'm not being angry on purpose. I don't want to feel this way. So yeah, I love a bit of positive news to get my teeth stuck into. Paul Lorenzo said, Craig, I'm terrified of this new season. Top 4 at best. Isn't it really sad to go into a season not thinking you're going to win the league? Now, you can make an argument to say, Liverpool fans, always our year and all that. Fair enough. But you always thought, with this squad, Jurgen, an addition or two, you weren't that far away. But all that goodwill, all that great work done in pre-season, all that has been sucked and thrown out the window by this monumental failure to do the bare minimum, which is bring in a midfielder. So yeah, I get it. We're going into the season now and we're just hoping to overachieve, rather than merely expecting to go and win. And look, we will do well. Even with no signings, the squad's decent. Of course it is. But that shouldn't be the bar. And some fans measure success very low. They talk about the finances, the health of the club and all this stuff. It doesn't really matter in English football or European football as much as it would do in the States, because there's no wage cap, salary caps. There's nothing like that clubs have to really worry about. We're nowhere near FFP or PSR trouble. So I don't understand why the bar of what's acceptable is so low for some Liverpool fans. Are we that browbeaten into accepting mediocrity from the owners in the market? I'll never be that way. Because I remember those 30 years of waiting and seeing United and Chelsea and City and Arsenal all win title after title. Meanwhile, we were just floundering around. Moores and Parry trying the best they could, sold the club to Hicks and Gillette. They made a mess of everything because of the financial crisis and how they leveraged the loan. And then we finally got Jurgen in. And rather than build on those successes, they just ran the team into the ground. Every player has been either let go for free because they've run them right down, and they haven't replaced them. And they haven't looked to build on winning trophies. Always just try to get away with the bare minimum. It's so frustrating. Hey Craig, we keep letting established players leave for free, but are willing to sell promising youngsters to make a profit. Madness. Which is very much, Danny, against what we're told the ethos is. So we're apparently supposed to go out there, find this young talent, bring them in, nurture them, break them through to the first team, and save the club money, but then get a fee for them towards the latter part of their career that kind of offsets everything we've put into them. But with the last, outside of Carvalho, so no, I'll include Carvalho, 5 from the last 13 players that came to Liverpool have got a fee for us when they've left. 8 of them haven't. And that's not clever. And Mo is about to depart on a free as well. So we'll get no money for Mo. Now the club can say they got value out of it. Maybe we did. But we also could have had 150 million quid last year. That would have very much gone towards strengthening the squad. But they didn't. And now here we are again. Horder Bjornsson said, Can we also sell Hughes back to Bournemouth? I feel really sorry for Richard Hughes, genuinely, because certainly this wouldn't be the way the man wanted to kick off his tenure as Liverpool sporting director. And I can also believe and see a world where he was being led on. Of course, I'm a human, I can understand that. But football's harsh, and you know, you're wearing the big boy trousers now at the big boy club. And after what happened last summer, after we were a laughing stock in the Caicedo situation, to allow that situation to happen once again, after making such a song and dance about bringing the boys back and Ward in and Hughes in and Edwards in and Will Spearman and all the song and dance, Pedro Marquez, what use is it bringing in all these people if they can't get a single fucking player over the line? What are they assessing? What markets are they looking at? All of them, and not one, not even a contract renewal. Stephen Croucher said, why is Bobby Clark being sold? He looks like a great, outstanding player. Hand on heart, Stephen, I don't know. Because you can go and, like, I'm not just making this up. Go and watch any time Bobby Clark's played for us. I've always said, he looks like he belongs out there. Doesn't look out of place. You can see the class of the young man. And I was really excited thinking he's going to be in and around the first team squad this year, pushing. You can talk about Trainioni and he looks amazing as well. But he's not ready yet. Physically, he's not ready yet. So, I don't know what's happened with Clark. But he's obviously been unhappy. And now he's got to move away if this medical and all goes well with Salzburg. But why not just loan him? I agree with you. Why the need to bring in this money? You can only hope that what our friend said earlier on, which was maybe Liverpool are working on something big. But God, it's hard to give the benefit of the doubt at this point, isn't it? Like, it's hard to look at the situation and go, maybe they are. You want to, and God, I want to. But again, we can only deal in what we've seen so far, and what we've seen so far hasn't exactly filled anyone full of confidence. Almost said, I met him in London, and he was rude as, I mean, I don't know what to say to that, mate. You know, I can't speak on behalf of somebody else, but what I can say to you is, if anybody comes along to this show to meet yours truly, you'll be met with a smile and a hug. So, yeah, again, we'll let you know when those tickets go on sale, but it is now officially booked in November the 15th, Hot Water Comedy Club. We're bringing Mr. Paddy Doyle over from Ireland with us to do the music on the night. Then we're going to have Mr. Carl Porter performing another live comedy set. And then myself and Connor, and maybe a little few guest appearances. Maybe Jack Gill might show up. Maybe Steve Bland might show up. So yeah, keep that in your diary as well. Those tickets are going to go on sale soon enough. But yeah, look, I'm sorry. There's nothing worse than when you meet somebody who you like or admire and they aren't pleasant. So yeah, I'm sorry you had that experience, mate. Sean said, 100% understand if Slot walks if no transfers by the end of the window. Disgraceful FSG hiring a new manager and giving him peanuts. FSG out. Justice for Slot. I mean, if I'm in Slot's position, you're going to get the excuses. You're going to get told this is football, blah, 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 blah. But you also know deep down that you're the one that's going to suffer. If Slot doesn't hit the ground running and we don't win games and don't look good, nobody at the club is going to hold their hands up and go, well, it's our fault. No, of course, it's always the manager that gets thrown under a bus by the media and everybody. So yeah, I'm with you, and I don't want Arne Slot to be a sacrificial lamb. He deserves better. We all do. Harry Klein said Hughes has only benefited Bournemouth so far. Well, I get where you're coming from on that with regards to Georgie Mamaradashvili maybe going on loan there for a campaign. Benjamin Alford said, don't you find it weird that we have directors that just don't talk to the media? I love the German model, they always chat. Well, we were kind of expecting exactly what you've said. So when Arne Slot did his first press conference, you might remember Richard Hughes was sitting there alongside him. And this was something that, as you've mentioned, is done a lot more on the continent of Europe, especially in Germany. And there's been very little by way of public anything since that one press conference. Other than the going over to the USA and everybody bragging about how great we are, blue chip companies and all this crap. Yeah. And do you know what though? The thing is, even if Richard Hughes is sitting up there, you know that the people in there that are going to be asking the questions aren't going to ask the questions you and I want to ask with the force you and I would ask them, because they'll have either been told they can't ask them, they'll have been looked at strongly and told basically, you sure you want to ask that question? Because we all know nobody likes criticism. I don't like being criticised, but to get to be in the game, in the inner circle, apparently you have to have no backbone. Steve Irvine said, love the channel, do we have any positive news? Yes. Let me move on to that in a second, mate. I just want to go through a couple more super chats. And thank you, Steve. I'm going to be talking about a left back. We're going to be talking about a little bit more on Georgi Mamardashvili. We're going to be trying to figure out the centre-back situation as well, by the way. Excited to get behind Slot, but I feel FSG could hinder him massively. Put all our eggs in one basket for Zubimendi with no plan B. It seems very amateurish. Thank you, Chris Barley. It does, mate, and particularly after last summer. You know, life is about learning lessons. And when FSG came into the club at first, yes, they maybe took advice from some of the wrong people, and they made some poor decisions. And I think, to be fair to most of our fan base, they understood the growing pains of them coming in and getting used to it. But those days are well and truly behind us now. And every so often, the mask slips a little bit and you get a glimpse of how little they actually want to win. And then, of course, PR mode happens. People get briefed. Bright promises are painted for the future, and some people lap it up and buy it over and over again. Actions speak louder than words. And I know I keep ramming on about their own comments, but where's the under-promising and over-delivering? Because you've done nothing except embarrass the club in 2 transfer windows by not being able to sign a player. That is not the way you run Liverpool Football Club. You don't go and weaken the brand worldwide and go from a club who are revered for how tough and cagey we were in the transfer market to now becoming a laughing stock. Asentino said, they're going to get rid of all Klopp's decisions on the team. Klopp and Edwards' rift was huge. We need to stop listening to journalists. Do you know what I find funny though? I said this yesterday. Any fan channel gets held to account and called out in their comments and called out if we get stuff wrong, and that's fine. But again, these are the people who are supposed to have access to club sources, and they're writing stuff that we all know is horseshit, and they'll continue to keep being the go-tos, and that really truly baffles me. Like, are we living in an age where facts don't matter anymore? It's just whatever said must be the truth. Fraser said, Craig, would you lose to Ipswich to sign players? No. That's, it's a strange question to have to answer, Fraser, but no, I would never intentionally agree to Liverpool losing a game in any way, shape or form. LFC Ryan said, hi Craig, hi Ryan, sorry mate. The lack of signings over the past years will catch us, and it's clear now the fact we have glaring issues plus replacing the big 3. We do have issues, yes. And it feels to me like there's issues behind the scenes as well. So we all have our own thoughts on why Jurgen left. You can either say, take the man at his word. He was exhausted and he couldn't give the energy to the job anymore. You could say that things weren't great behind the scenes and he could see this coming, maybe was fed up with the owners. But it is, in my own personal opinion, no coincidence that as soon as Klopp went, Edwards came back in and got given a lot of power. Because I said this as soon as Edwards was signed back up to the club. I don't think Edwards would have looked at some of those signings last summer and signed off on them. Particularly Endo. So if you add that to the players who are posting these black and white images, the younger players, you've got... Did you see that LFC Academy account and page who said he was asked? Now, he didn't say who they were asked by, but they were asked to not post about Rio Numoha for the moment. It'll be done soon, but don't post about it. This weird managing of stuff is very odd. Like I said, when we were over in Orlando, God, I don't know how many years ago now, 2019 maybe, as a tiny channel, I know the club are reaching out to fan channels, or not fan channels, to supporters clubs over there to ask what their business was meeting with us, and we were tiny. This is bullshit. They don't even have the decency to reply to an email that we sent them that was extremely heartfelt and written, just asking for clarification on our stance in the media landscape. Can't be arsed replying. And yet we're supposed to think they actually give a damn. Say what you want about me or Goldbridge or Robbie or True Geordie or anyone. We show up and answer to our audience. If we get something wrong, we don't go and hide. We're here, fronting up. If we shit the bed and say something we shouldn't, we're here to apologise. John just cowers over in Boston, not giving a damn. Live up to your responsibilities, mate. Sell the club if you can't be fussed. Because Liverpool fans aren't going to continuously accept it. Some of them are starting to see the owners now for their real selves, for how little they actually care and want to win. Bricktop said I missed one of his super chats. Sorry, bro. Let me scroll back up. Yeah, it didn't come through, mate, on my end. Sorry. About 9 o'clock. I won't be able to scroll back that far, but maybe Connor can find it and send it on to me, mate. But I do apologise, Mr. Bricktop. Don't want to be getting on the bad side of Bricktop. Do you know what I mean? But sorry about that, mate. That's my bad, mate. Apologies. Where's that gone? There we go. I've got so many more to get through here. Thank you, everyone, by the way. Look in the top corner. Thank you. Do keep hitting that subscribe button, but unbelievably our community has now grown to over 270,000 subscribers. Clips channel's about to hit 32,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much. Do keep dropping a like. We're only at 530 likes. There's 3,500 people watching. I want to keep this this really cool streak we have of 1,000 likes on every live. I want to try and keep this going. TAA66 said, Craig, I honestly believe we're going to win the Premier Champions League and also complete my NVQ today. Qualified dry liner. That's brilliant, mate. Well done to you. Hope you have a fantastic, profitable career ahead of you, bro. And maybe someday I'll get you over here to dry line some of the walls of my gaff, because some of them could do with it. But honestly, mate, I'm delighted for you. Thank you for sharing that. It's always lovely to hear some positive news. And I wish we're going to win the Prem. I hope we do, but I can't sit here with sincerity and think that we're going to do it without strengthening. Gary Weiss, thank you, mate. I wish I could leave that up forever. And look, I'm not saying either that I always get it right, Gary. I don't. But I'm always giving you my true feelings. I don't try to manipulate a situation. Other than, of course, transfer stories, let's say you want to make the most of it. So you'll talk about a player as much as you can, but my feelings, how I judge things, it's always 100% exactly what's on my mind. Benjamin offers that I spoke to a friend in Spain. He says that Zubimendi deal isn't done. He said the good journalists are saying he wants to come and Liverpool still know this. I want to believe that more than you know, Benjamin. And I hope you're right. I hope we can come on here in the next few days and go, God, do you remember Benjamin brought that up? And here we are. I just, at the moment, mate, I can't bring myself to open that door again. The old heart won't take another failure like that, another letdown. But, God, I hope you're true. I hope it's true, sorry. We're a Maka and Ryan Gravenberch injury away from relying on Bajcetic, especially when Ryan has little footy to now have to rely on and we need Ederson. It gets worse than that, mate, because, we might loan out Bajcetic for the season. Now, on its own, I'm not against the idea of loaning out Bajcetic. You can totally understand making sure he gets a full season under his belt and rhythm and build up those minutes. But you'd want to have done it where you've stacked up our midfield a little bit more. But as you've said there, we're always one or two injuries away from a crisis. And Arsenal have looked and think, right, we've got Gabriel, we've got Saliba. Let's bring in Calafiori to make sure that we have three top centre-backs if one of them picks up a long-term injury. What do? Well, we get the rosary beads out, don't we? And we say a decade of the rosary and hope that nobody picks up an injury. Knowing damn well that they will, because it always happens. Especially when you've got a centre-back like Ibu, who picks up niggly muscle strains and knocks a lot. You've got a young lad in Jarell Kwanzaa who, should be slowly introduced. Or at least not expected to come in and be the next Van Dijk immediately. But the pressure's there now. He's probably Van Dijk's partner for the opening game. And that's it. The strength and depth's out the window. No Matip. Gomez is there. But most of us, if I said to you right now, where does Gomez play? You're going to say full back. So, yeah. It's pathetic. And I hate having a go at people who are optimistic as well, who go, but if things go well for us and if we don't pick up injuries, then we might be able to challenge. I hate calling people like that out because I aspire to be that optimistic, but it's football. The way we play is physically demanding. The games are coming thick and fast. We've an international break coming up September, October, November. Players are going to be going all around the world, flying. All those things takes its toll, and they've had a shortened summer, some of them, because of the international tournaments. Anyway, the people who report that we aren't looking for the new number 6 this window is lying. Well, of course, there is an argument to say that a football club could not want to publicly brief that they're still looking, but the argument would be because they don't want the price to go up. But it doesn't really make sense to me, because as soon as you come knocking on the club's door anyway, they know now you're desperate. So whether people publicly know it or not, if you are going to be looking for a number 6, just do it. Don't say anything either way. So yes, of course, there's the possibility, mate, but when has given the benefit of the doubt to these owners ever really stood us well? Nick said, I still think we'll have a good season, maybe win a cup. Wonder if a lot of our kids will have to be deployed like last season. Maybe we will uncover another Kwanzaa or Bradley. Vent now, but back to boys on Saturday. Again, Nick, I agree with about 95% of that. Of course, back to boys and the manager when we play. But when we eventually fall away from the leaders at the very top of the league, we're all going to reflect back to this window. and look at it and think, what if again? And that becomes a very tiring thing to do. So whilst, as I said, I agree with most of what you said, bro, we shouldn't have to even have this conversation. You know, we should be going in thinking, league starts, let's win the first 5, let's go win it. But it's hard to be that optimistic at the minute. What happened to Andre Trinidad from Fluminense, who seemed to be close last winter? Strange story. They're 18th position at the minute after playing the Copa Libertadores final recently. From our end, it seemed to go quiet and very cold. You know, it was always, they didn't want to sell him until, one, he won the Copa Libertadores with them, and then it was that they wanted him to go over and play in the Club World Cup in Saudi, which would have ruled him out of the January window. Nothing I've seen since then, other than the links with Fulham after they sold João Palhinha. Other than that, I mean, I've not seen anything about the guy anywhere. Maybe I'm, you know, because he's not linked to Liverpool, I'm just not seeing it. Maybe he's been linked with other clubs, but nothing popping up on my daily searches anyway that I've seen. Prayers for Yamal's father, hope for good news. Honestly, mate, I don't know what this is about, but I'm assuming that Lamine Yamal's father is unwell or trapped or injured, or I don't know the story, but I absolutely echo your sentiment. Yeah, you always want a positive outcome in anything, so whatever it is, I'm right there with you. Righteous Gamer said, I think it's time people start taking signs to games like the WWE, not saying can I have your shirt, but FSG out. Hopefully John's watching in Boston. So the way I think is best to go about catching their attention, shall we say, is embarrassing them. Whether that's a protest of tennis balls being thrown onto the pitch, whether it's, I don't want to say a walkout, because again, that impacts the people who haven't had to play a role in this, the players and the coach, and you always want to be supportive of them. So before a game, after a game, I think hit them in their wallets. Certainly stop buying club merchandise. If you go to a game, make sure that you eat in the places around the stadium rather than inside it, or buy your drinks before you go in, or just give them nothing. And publicly change your social media profile. You don't have to go to an FSG out, but by all means change it to something that shows your disdain with how they're running the club. Because if small little things like this, these little movements of people, they can steamroll quite quickly if everyone gets onto the same page. So some people aren't going to want to speak out against the owners because they believe that they're okay. And that's okay as well. That's their absolute choice. But I wish more people would at least not be undermined when they ask what on earth is going on. And I don't know what the temperature is in the city of Liverpool at the minute. Maybe some people in the chat who are on the ground over there can tell us what the feeling is amongst the locals or the season ticket holders, because they spend their hard-earned money year after year. And no, they'll be there with the good times and the bad. Of course, I understand that, and that's to their credit. But they should at least have an expectation that the new stands that were built to bring more cash flow in, the commercial partnerships that were brought on board to bring more cash in, the Nike deal that was bragged about to bring more cash in, they should expect that their money is at least going towards making that squad on the pitch challenge. And they're not at the minute. So we're all being just taken for mugs. Ian said, Craig, I've just passed my SIA security exam. Got the news today. Can we borrow some of Chelsea's players? Well, again, mate, thank you for sharing the good news. It's always lovely to hear when people have got a bit of good news to share. So well in on that one. Maybe you can be my security when I come to Liverpool. Not that I need it because everyone was so lovely in all honesty, but it make me feel like a bit of a Billy Big Bollocks if I had a security there with me. Connor, I've said 110 million for Caicedo saved from last year. Why on earth not go for Bruno Guimaraes? Twice the player and makes us challenge again. So, I don't think personally Bruno Guimaraes is worth the money, but I would absolutely take him because I think he's a decent enough player that he could make a difference. So I agree with you on that, definitely. But again, I'm kind of thinking on the go here. I think Bruno Guimaraes has said something very recent about loving Newcastle, staying there, not leaving. But it's an option for sure. But whether it's an option that's realistic to us or not, I don't know. Oh my goodness. So this said, Lamine Yamal's father has been stabbed in the parking lot in Spain. He's been hospitalised and is currently in critical condition. Wow. I mean, they go on to say that everyone at transfer sector sending thoughts and prayers. I mean, obviously, I echo that sentiment. God almighty, the world's turning into a dangerous, scary place, isn't it? I mean, that young man's just had an incredible summer. Won the Euros, played a big part in it as well. His father must be the proudest man on the planet. And some little scumbag, toe rag, comes in and assaults him and stabs him. My God. What's the world coming to, lads? So I hope he recovers. God almighty, I do. Saddening, isn't it? You know, to hear about stuff like that. Winky Wonky Donkey. Always makes me smile when I read that name. Is Jay Spearn still at the club? Surely could do a job in the six. Where's the broccoli, John? Sorry, money. I'm going to ask a poll. Do you think we make any signings in the window for this summer? So don't include Mamaradashvili in your answer to this in your mind if you could help me out. So it's just a straightforward, will LFC sign any players this month? Straightforward yes or no. And we'll see how that poll goes over the course of the next hour or so. Sorry, I'm just reading back through some comments to catch up on stuff. So I see a lot of stuff about the Zubimendi situation. Again, all I can say is I hope you're all right. I'd love to get some news that maybe that deal was potentially back on, but as of right now, I'm not aware of it being a realistic option. Certainly when I spoke with David, which you've probably seen on yesterday's show, he didn't think that Liverpool would revisit the deal from their side anyway. But look, I'm just not going to allow myself to believe or dream about it, you know, because I'm not willing to go through the anger again. So if it happens, we'll talk about it. Right, let me get into more stuff. So, we've been linked with Club Bruges left back Maxime de Kuiper is being closely followed by Liverpool, according to reports. Other than that, I don't know much about this guy. Left back. We spoke with David Lynch yesterday. The only other one we really mentioned was ENQUIRIES, of course, whose name has been loosely linked with us for a while. That's the only other bit of potential incoming transfer news I've seen. Craig, why go back? Said Justin cleverly he doesn't want to come. So again, bro, I have nothing to suggest we are going back. I'm just reacting to some comments from people who said they're reading that Liverpool may be back. I think people have probably taken what Paul Joyce has written about Zubimendi and Sociedad having problems sorting out his contract there, and maybe putting 2 and 2 together. Maybe some people have jumped on that and tried to suggest it's stalling because Liverpool are coming back in. All I can say is, as I sit here right now, I'm not aware of that. But again, I'd love to be wrong. Right. So, Joe Rogan. If only it was the real one. Craig, is it just me that finds it annoying that we were told 2-3 signings, and when one goes wrong, we don't seem to be signing anyone? Yep. We were told a few things, mate. Just let me grab a quick drink, 1 sec. So we were told not to panic. We were, when I say we, I mean those of us who spoke up and were concerned about the lack of business, even in July. We're told, did you not hear what Edward said, or Hughes said? July, quiet. August, crescendo. Then we were told, I don't know who wrote this, but you'll search and find it yourself, that the next 10 days are going to be big for Liverpool. Expect signings. The Daily Star wrote stuff to say, on top of a midfielder, Liverpool are hoping to bring in 2 attackers in this window. And yet all we've seen Liverpool do is sell. And fail. So, you want to be optimistic, but again, what are we waiting for in any of these? And why, as our friend said there a minute ago, why is it that we can only seemingly work on one thing at a time and even still shit the bed on it? Yeah, I don't know. Destiny Warrior, welcome to Anfield Agenda Ultras. Mark said Madrid won the Super Cup. They've beat Atalanta 2-0. You would always kind of expect the Champions League club to be the stronger there, but you know, we've won it in the past as a Europa League or UEFA Cup winner, so well done to Madrid on another trophy, which, let's be honest, Trent could be sitting at home looking at, thinking, they want me. I could go on a free, play with Bellingham, Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Zubimendi, Camavinga. Or I can stay here at No Ambition FC, where the owners haven't even given him a new deal yet. The captain is twiddling his thumbs trying to figure out if the club want him to stay or not, hoping that they bring in signings. I mean, and then you've got the young players who are posting black and white images and are frustrated and want out as well. It is not a good look. So yeah, every lie has been a lie, shockingly. Wants to assess the squad. Well, what was the assessment? Can anybody any clues on what Arna's assessment of the squad was? Because apparently the assessment of the squad doesn't matter after we shit the bed on Zubimendi. Because then all of a sudden there's this realisation that everyone that wasn't good enough is all of a sudden good enough. You know, the players who were up for sale but nobody wanted to buy are now our saviours. So, what was the looking at the squad bit? What did it help us with? Genuinely would love to know that. What did Arne Slot or the club learn that maybe they didn't know before after the summer trip to America? Because I certainly don't feel any the wiser. I've not seen anything that I didn't know before. Andrew Webb said, is it true that Zubimendi was offered more money than Liverpool offered him? Is this why the deal was not made? No, it isn't true. Again, there's loads of different reports from the likes of Fabrizio Romano or whoever you trust as your journalist of choice to say that they couldn't get near the offer that Liverpool were going to make him. You know, I think Liverpool were going to be paying him about 10 million euro per season, and that was before there was that talk that we bumped it up a bit more. So you're talking maybe starting off at 160, 170,000 pound a week as a basic. I don't think it was money. It seemed to be the heartstrings and the family not wanting to move. Do I not get tired of being riled up for this 4 days straight? Of course I do, but what do you want me to do, Kieran? I don't understand the point of what you're saying. Like, of course I don't. I get tired of it, mate. As I said, it affects my sleeping. It affects my well-being in general. You know, that's what being a football fan is, you know. And yes, it would be very easy for me not to come on here and chat with people, but I have to be with my community through good and bad times. You know, because sometimes you guys need to vent. So, of course I get tired of it, mate. You know, I get tired of... feel like I'm pissing into the wind at times as well about the owners and saying that they're consistently manipulating the fan base with promises that never materialise. But I can't give up, can I? What would I do? Close the channel, go away, and then they've won? You know, my job is to try and make a difference in a positive way. But do you really think it's so bad? Yes. Like, what I'm trying to read into that question is, do you think I'm hamming this up for camera? Is I think what you're trying to ask. I promise you, speak with my wife or my friends or anyone that knows me, and this is me. This is who I am. And if you had a camera on me sitting watching Sky Sports News or the telly later, you'll hear me shouting worse stuff at the TV. This is me. This is who I am. There's no act. It matters this much to me. Whether that's embarrassing in a different way or not, this is who I am. You know, like I say all the time, you don't get the Ric Flair version of me with the whoo and the celebrations and all that energy that comes along with that without sometimes seeing the other side, which is when things aren't going great and the club are in a bad position. Yeah, it drags me down as well. But the club's in a stable position. I'm never going to argue against that. But my ambition, and I think what I would like most fans' ambition to be, is to go and win. And to do everything you can. Don't want to put the club in jeopardy. You don't want us being done for FFP or anything like that. But you know that there's more can be done. And you know that these owners aren't doing it. So, yeah, you can say it's not so bad. But again, is that the yardstick we're measuring these things by? Not so bad is okay. No, being okay is celebrating a Champions League, a league title, walking around like you're on a cloud. Reason why Klopp quit, no money to buy new players, said Pear. Top four is winning the league for these Muppet owners, said Bricktop. The part that actually winds me up the most is how close we are every few years. So, if I gave an honest assessment of this squad right now, my assessment would be we're a centre-back and midfielder and maybe a full-back away from being able to realistically challenge for the big trophies this year. That's my real, genuine assessment. Now, removing any of those signings, not having the goodwill, the increased pressure for who gets the starting berth, and not having competition for places has a knock-on effect as the season goes on. You want players looking around thinking, if I don't perform, X or Y is coming in. Right now, Mohamed Salah could go out there and do cartwheels on the pitch for 90 minutes if he wanted, knowing that there's nobody there that pushes him for that spot. Virgil could run backwards for 90 minutes if he wanted, knowing there's nobody there to challenge Virgil for his jersey. That's not healthy. I remember one of Klopp's first seasons as manager, he came in and the transfer window came up and he spoke about you'd never want to make wholesale changes. So maybe in cycles you do one or two front loading windows where you do a lot of business. But you always want to bring in one or two to freshen it up, to increase competition, and to bring new ideas and new personalities into the group. What we see at the moment is these players seeing their club becoming a bit of a laughingstock in the media. A failure to realistically build on being close to winning the league again. And we're slipping further away rather than running towards victory. That's how I would best try to summarise it. Davey 11, thank you mate for joining Anfield Agenda FC. So what was this coming in? No, sorry, that was nothing important for us. We need two animals, one at centre back and one in central midfield, said Sydney Sat. You're bang on, Craig. I have this loads of the time. We have greatness in our grip, but FSG are complacent and negligent in the decision. Yes. It's always like they say, we could win if things go right. But how about we should win with the squad we have? That's the kind of mentality they should be having. Let's leave no doubt. Let's put it to the manager that you now have a squad that we truly feel can go out there and win. Now let's see you go out there and win. Because if you don't win, we're going to hold you responsible. But what we have is them hoping for rabbits out of hats, overachievement, and the manager to somehow pull miracles out his ass. Right, my friends. Only 132 likes short of 1,000, so please do hit that like button for me if you haven't. And again, appreciate if you could drop a like on the stream and hit that subscribe button as well. Anfield sector saying a new deal is looking problematic on the Sociedad side. Yeah, I mean, Paul Joyce reported that earlier on, to be fair. But doesn't... I don't know how people are jumping to that could mean it's back on for us. I still have no indication that that's the case, but again, would be very happy to be wrong. I think a lot of people are maybe clinging on to that dream or hope, maybe, and there's, again, understandable, but I'm not going to be the one to sit here and tell you that it could be back on until I know it's actually possible, and I don't know that at this moment in time. Gareth Brennan, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, and Gemma Johnson, welcome to Anfield Agenda Ultras, both of you, thank you so much. Steve Aldersey, I think this sums it up pretty well, Steve. I think a lot of us can relate to what you've written here. Liverpool shields me from daily crap. It isn't working. Exactly that, mate. Football, to many of us, is the escape. You know, that time where we don't have to concern ourselves with the rent or food prices or, you know, it's that couple of hours of freedom where we get to dream, feel like we belong to something greater than ourselves. And at the moment, it doesn't feel like it's given us that release or positivity. So I think what you said there is very understandable. Andy, LFC Cali said, do you think We're filling the coffers because we're going to have to overpay to extend. Trent, go for somebody big, or just line John W. Henry's pockets. So, let's look at Trent as an example, okay? Liverpool could up Trent's wages by £100,000 a week and still not put a dent in anything. Remember, we saved 18.7 million in wages when the 200 grand a week wage of Thiago went off the books, the 60 grand a week wage of Adrian went off the books, and the rumoured around 100 grand a week wage of Joel Matip went off the books. So the club's wage bill has gone down. Now they can't come back with this usual bullshit of telling us that the wage bill is so drastically high that we've got no manoeuvrability, because they've already made a rod for their own back by briefing and bragging about this money saved, 18.7 million. It was everywhere. So you could take that saving and give Trent and Virgil contract extensions with a raise and still be up. Now they're also going to lose the 350 grand a week or the 16, 17 million quid a year of Salah's wages in a year's time. He's going to be off the books, the biggest earner. So I refuse to believe it's about wiggle room for extensions. So it's either about lining their pockets or doing something big. So whichever one of those people feel most comfortable hanging their hat on, that's an individual decision for you guys. Again, and I say this sincerely, I hope it's that they're building for something big. I hope. But I won't believe it until I see it. Because hope has killed us so far. Do you think the owners are going to sell up now or in the near future, sell as much as they can? Why would they? The club owes them nothing, almost, at this point. So they sold 11% and basically got back their investment in the club. And probably a little bit on top when they sold that percentage to Redbird Capital. So right now, they're probably sitting there having recouped their initial stake of the club. Yes, they loaned money for the stands to be built, but they're going to get that back as well. So they basically own the club now, and it's all just profit. So if they did sell, they'd probably have to get to a point in their minds where they feel that there is no more new avenues or opportunities to squeeze more money out of the club. And I don't mean that to say that they're actually just taking cash from the club's bank account and putting it in their own bank account. I mean that there's no more growth left in the domestic game in England, whether that's television rights, other media avenues where they can exploit and generate more cash from. Once they feel that they have added every bit of value to the football club possible and that there is no real room that they see for growth, that's maybe when they sell. But even at that, their own words are, when's the last time we sold anything? So they're sitting pretty right now. Recoup back the money they bought the club with, and they're sitting on a club that's worth £4 billion. Would you sell that? When it's just there going up in value all the time? When you do the bare minimum? Judge the pie when it's out of the oven in 2 weeks' time. Yeah, I've eaten these pies before, mate. And in 2 weeks' time, when I come to the window ledge to look for the pie, I have a funny feeling the pie's not going to be there. So maybe you can smell the baking that's happening. But for me at the minute, I'm not smelling the baking. So I'll judge it right now, thank you, on what I've seen and what I know with my own eyes, which is they've done fuck all. So what happens in 2 weeks' time when nothing has changed? Then what do we do? How do we fix it then? We can't. Now, I'm not saying there's anything you or I can realistically do now, but all this optimism is unfounded in my eyes, mate, because to get back to your pie analogy, where's the pie we're baking? You know, we burnt the pie and had to throw it in the bin with Zubimendi, and now all of a sudden it looks like everyone's lost their appetite. Somebody said something there about Cole Palmer. I believe he's actually going to get a new deal, or maybe already has, at Chelsea. There's talk of an improved offer for him at Chelsea already. I've seen that on Sky earlier on. We need new owners with ambition who want to compete and win, not just spending, or not just net spend year after year, said Jordan. So look back over the history of our time at the club. It's been around 40 to 45 million net spend most seasons up until the last two, where we had a 60 million net spend, I think, the year after, or the year before this one, and the year just gone we had a net spend of about 90. And they were rebuild seasons. And it still put us 6th on the table of spending. Oh, we already did sign that new deal. There you go. I knew there was something about it. I just didn't know if it was sold or not. So yeah, signed till 2033. So a 9-year deal there for Cole Palmer. God, Chelsea better hope he doesn't shit the bed, because imagine being stuck. Imagine if he fell off a cliff. No, I don't think he will. But imagine his form went out the window. They're now stuck with him on a 9-year deal on what I would imagine is pretty big money, on top of the many other 6 and 7 year contracts they've handed out. Let me just get this comment up from Ole. 1 second, mate. Thank you for your super chat, bro. Said, I'm just wondering, I've seen some mentions of us signing Koopmeiners for 51.5 million instead of Zubimendi. Do you think there's truth to it? Well, I read that situation like this. Atalanta want to bring in the kid from Celtic, O'Reilly. They were expecting offers to come in from Juventus. Our name has been linked with Koopmeiners all summer. He didn't go to the Euros, if my memory is right. I think he had a knock or something like that, didn't get into the squad. So you would have to say, if we wanted him, it would have been done. Or at least an offer would have been made. There was something I read yesterday or the day before about Gasperini feeling like he'd been blackmailed or something like that over Koopmeiners. I don't really have the full context of the situation off the top of my head. But if we're going to Atalanta for a midfielder, it's his midfield partner that we should be looking at for about 6 million quid less. Would be my take on it, mate. But he has been linked to the club in the past, so, you know, Koopmeiner's name being mentioned is not unfathomable. But again, why would we have waited all this time if we want him? Ravin said, Craig, we end up getting last minute buys or free transfers. That might be the wrong way to go. It's definitely the wrong way to go. Right, think of it this way. When we went big and broke records for 2 players, big, Alisson and Virgil. When we spent the big money, what happened? We won. We delivered the league title in the European Cup. So the track record of paying for quality has brought success. So why stop it? Why not bring in 1 or 2 elite players each year than leave it to a situation like last year where we were scrambling around trying to rebuild a midfield in a really hectic window with no rhyme or reason to it, and ended up with Endo after the Caicedo mess as well. It doesn't scream organised to me. It screams like they couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery, but Hoarder said, one sec, we will panic buy after Ipswich draw. Well, see, I think they're almost hoping for the goodwill if we win. You know, that to buy them another few days. And every one of these little mini outbursts from us fans in anger, if they can buy themselves a few more days, eventually the window closes. And then you'll see what you see every other year. The promise from the journos, you know, those who do the club's bidding, will say, well, Liverpool sources tell us expect a big window next year. They're aware they need a new spine, expect big. And then when it comes closer, there will be an excuse. What's happening with Alisson? Nobody seems to know. It doesn't look like he's going anywhere now. It certainly doesn't feel like he's looking for a way out of the club. But I think the club have just, and again, I'm kind of educatedly guessing on some of this. Alisson's been so good for us that whoever you bring in after him has really big shoes/gloves to fill, right? And you don't want a situation where we get to next summer, and this is just for argument's sake. I don't know this is going to happen. I'm not trying to say it will, but I'm just trying to paint a picture. Let's say we're in July next year and the Saudi Pro League comes across with a monumental offer for Alisson Becker, and he thinks to himself, and he speaks with his wife, and he said, all right, we've had a great time in Liverpool. We've won everything. Now let's go get that generational wealth for a year or two. And he decides he wants to move. He could also decide he wants to go back to Brazil. He could also decide he wants to go back to Italy. Who knows? But if he decided for whatever reason he wanted to depart, Liverpool then have alarm bells going off everywhere. And every email they send or phone call they make that inquire about a goalkeeper will see them quoted astronomical sums of money. So what they're trying to do is make sure that whenever that day happens, and again, don't know when it is, that they have somebody ready where they can go, well, here's our boy. We won't stand in Ali's way. We'll make the deal work for everyone. And then we have Georgi Mamardashvili, who we believe is going to be the next Alisson Becker. It's clever. It is clever. You know, even in this window where I'm swearing and blinding about the owners, succession planning like that is clever. Because you don't want to be caught with your pants down and be scrambling around trying to find a solution. Red Gaz said, hi Craig, I hope you're well. I'm alright, Gaz, mate. I'm alright, bro. Thanks for asking. Do you think our good pre-season has stopped them going ahead with projects, i.e. Chimikas and Jones, Neoni's performances? Look, while it's always good to see a positive pre-season, I don't hold too much stock in the results or anything like that, because, and I'd be the same, by the way, if we lost in pre-season. You just want to work on the fitness and getting players ready for the campaign getting underway. And a few pleasant surprises, no problem, but there's enough of a sample size of Costas or Jones that you know they're not good enough long term. So I don't think that's changed anything. Again, we tried to sign Zubimendi, so we still feel there is a gap in that midfield. So to hear that we might not be doing anything after the Zubimendi deal fell apart just makes you think, how? Like, you can't admit there's a problem in there and then fail to solve it multiple times and go into another season with the same headache. Top Erling Scar said, There is one thing that still surprises me with all of this. People are defending FSG because of Anfield. Do they know the main stand was a loan and not spent from FSG? It's mental. I agree with you. And I use this analogy all the time. If I come into a housing estate and I buy a house in a really good housing estate, so think of the Premier League as a housing estate, and I walk in, I buy a house in a really good housing estate, but the house is a bit run down, and I open up the kitchen, lash a big extension out the back, convert the attic, tart up the front and back garden, and then I put the house on the market for more money. I'm not expecting everybody in the housing estate to come out to their front doors, open them and start applauding my genius. It's basic bitch stuff. It's the obvious stuff you can do to add value to something. So the owners loaning the club the money to build the 2 stands will ultimately see that repaid by you and I and everybody else around the world who buy their Liverpool merchandise or go to a game, and they will recoup all of that money and get the benefit. It's like having somebody else paying your mortgage and you get to see the benefit of it all. Whoever these sycophants are that delude themselves into thinking that any of that was done for any other reason other than getting more money through the door is deluding themselves. So if you have a season ticket waiting list that has a waiting list to get on the waiting list, you know you could probably fill Anfield with 85 or 90,000. So why not build a new stadium on Stanley Park and use Anfield as, like United are planning on doing, let's say for the under-21s or the ladies team, you know, keep the hollow turf. Well, you know the answer. It's because it was cheaper to do it this way. But people won't fall. People will tell you it was the right decision, and some people will believe it's the right decision. But I don't believe in coincidences, and it's always a coincidence that the cheapest version is the one they go for. Always. Red Sox did it. Liverpool did it. (16/36 points from top 6, but we're good enough. We're not good enough, Mike. So, yeah. I don't know who they're trying to kid or cod, and I don't know who's buying into this nonsense. And people are wondering why we're complaining. Get a grip. This has gone too far. Exactly. It's like some of these people have Stockholm syndrome or something. Liverpool will finish third even without signings. Possibly, Andy. But let me ask you a question, bro. I'm assuming you're a Liverpool fan. So, if you're a Liverpool fan, Andy, and I don't dispute we might finish third, is that what you dreamt up dreaming of? Is that what you hoped for your football club? I'm sure you probably dreamt about seeing the lads winning FA Cup finals, Champions Leagues, winning Premier League titles. So knowing that we've already come to an agreement between ourselves here that we could do third with what we have, why is there no anger that with a couple more, with doing a little bit of business, we could win? Why is the bar set at just being happy to get third, even by doing nothing? The bar should be about winning. It's sport. Nothing else matters. Win, win, win. Winning is a habit. Winning makes you desirable. Winning attracts more sponsors, more marketing opportunities. Winning is everything in sport. So this is what my friend was in Spain was saying. The games are still at play with Zubimendi. Apparently the player is working hard to save his image first and leave closer to the window or January. I don't understand how anybody would think that would save his image though. So let's say, as an example, Benjamin, and thank you for your super chat, that Zubimendi leaves on the 29th of August. Do you think that the Sociedad fan base then go, ah well, or would they go, this lying little scumbag told us he was staying and then off he pops? I know which one I think the fan base would think of. Whereas if you went first time round and you said, I hope to return to the club someday, I leave here with great memories of growing up and playing for my childhood club, to put on the blue and white shirt, to play in front of these fans. But I came to a difficult point in my career where I felt like I had to take the next step for my legacy. I looked at what Xabi Alonso did at Liverpool Football Club and I dreamt about what that could be like. And it was only a deal like this that would make me leave my boyhood club. So it is with a heavy heart that I'm going to chase my dreams, but I will be back one day. That's how you leave a football club and have the fan base understand where you're coming from. The other thing is just the Antoine Griezmann approach of shitting on everyone. Zenevdro said, hi mate, can't make sense of this window. Zubi deal back on. Again, I've got nothing to suggest that is happening. I hope I'm wrong, but I've not seen that incredible on it. Any news on any incomings besides the keeper? As David Lynch said, maybe keep an eye on the left back situation. If Costas moves on, there was a couple of links. There was the guy from Club Brugge or Bruges, his name Maxime de Kuiper. We've been linked with him a little bit. Obviously, like Nuri is another one. Other than that, I've not even seen many names thrown around, if any, at centre back. Like the centre back conversation, unless I've missed something, seems to have gone really, really quiet. Let's check back in on the poll that we put up earlier on. It's nearly had 3,000 votes. We said, will Liverpool sign any players this month? And 57% so far feel no, with 2 and a bit weeks of the window left. That's not a great place for a fan base to be at, is it? And look, of course, it is guesswork. None of us know the legitimate answer to that question. But that's what we're trying to do here, is just gauge people's opinions. And so far, Liverpool fans feel that deflated, in our community anyway, that they don't feel like we're going to get anything done in this window. Marcus said, thanks for speaking against these owners. I wish I didn't have to, mate. I wish I didn't even have to acknowledge their existence. I mean, not to repeat myself over and over again, but none of us grew up giving a shit about who owned a football club. You know, they're just money men in the background. We should be only caring about the players and the manager and, you know, the rest taking care of itself. These should be silently in the background, going about their business, showing up and, you know, doing their bit and showing the supporters they care or whatever. But that's not what the experience we're living with FSG. It's maddening that they have the cheek to come out with that catchphrase. We've always said we want to under-promise and over-deliver. A bit hard to promise that, and John, when you're not fucking here. You know? Apart from when you're sitting there with your little nonsense apologetic video after you tried to shaft all of us with the Super League. Well, imagine thinking that the man who told us all, without any interaction with the manager, the players, the staff of the club, the history of the traditions, this charlatan released a little statement to say Liverpool Football Club is joining the European Super League from this day. and thinking that this man has the best interest of this football club at heart, and thinking that that apology was anything other than a shit, I got caught with my pants down. Who would have thought the backlash would have been so big? Anyone who had a clue, mate. Anyone. Speak to 10 football fans and ask them what would happen if we announced the Super League was going to happen. And you would have got a pretty quick response about how that was going to pan out for you. But no, they thought they knew best. They thought they could milk more money out. And they thought that we'd just sit back and let it happen. So they did that. That's where the benefit of the doubt ended for me. Do you think footballers are getting worse? It feels like 10 years ago they were better players. No, I think obviously they're physically better tuned these days with the increases in sports science, awareness of nutrition, and all the other things that have come along with technology and the growth in sports science. But the amount of pampering that goes on from towards some of these people is mental. Like, there's nothing wrong with hearing the word no occasionally in life, but when a footballer gets criticised these days, a lot of the time people feel like it's hate or intimidation or abuse for being told you the shit game. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't all the other stuff that we know there is, but you get paid a lot of money to perform. If fans are going to say, like United fans did with Rashford, you're not doing it, mate. You're not doing it. You don't get to jump up and down and jump on fan channels and everybody else and start whinging about it. Own up, man up, and take it on the fucking chin. You aren't always going to be told you're God's gift because you can kick a ball around. So sometimes these lads need a dose of reality as well. When you've got people running around doing everything for them, sorting out their bins, sorting out their holidays, sorting out their car insurance, everything. They're spoon-fed everything. I've seen interviews with agents where they've said they've had to get people out to change light bulbs, teach someone how to work a dishwasher. Like basic human stuff. Some of these guys are so mollycoddled and told how great they are non-stop from 11 all the way through that they don't live on the same planet as the rest of us. Like, remember the days where we used to hear of managers in dressing rooms smashing cups and shouting at people, and you can't do that anymore because they'll be on the phone crying to their agent wanting out of the club because somebody dare raise their voice or challenge them. Like, they want all the perks and upside of being a superstar and sports athlete without having to deal with any type of criticism or any, heaven forbid. Who's likely to operate at a number 6? My worry. Gravenberch will be my guess. Now look, I wouldn't say we have too many of them at Liverpool, in fairness. I like the group we have. But you know there are some players in this modern day who have been pampered a little bit too much from an early age. And I'm certainly not trying to say we have too many, because I think we've a good group at the club who will understand a little bit of honest feedback and criticism. But in the wider footballing world, it is a bit of an issue at times. Hate woke, R.I.P. Richard Keys. Fuck Richard Keys. Mate, Richard Keys is no anti-woke warrior. He is a misogynistic asshole. You don't belittle women and then call that banter. That's just being an asshole. You know, when your wife's got cancer and you're apparently doing a line with your girlfriend's friend, there's nothing to be celebrated about him in any way, shape or form. I'm delighted that he had to piss off the Doha because nobody else wanted to employ him. Because he's an absolute Neanderthal, in my opinion. Maybe, I get, you know what just dawned on me? I'm lucky. I grew up in Ireland, right, where we had television football pundits who just said what was on their mind. Honestly, like, Google clips of Eamon Dunphy, John Giles, Liam Brady, Richie, all these guys would just say it like it is on Irish TV. And it was so refreshing. Like, I'd watch BBC and see their sanitised coverage of stuff and go, my God, I'm so glad we have these lads in Ireland. He will come on and just call out anything that they think is wrong without any fear of repercussions. It was so good. Evioth Snow, you didn't put in a comment with your super chat, but again, I just want to say thank you for your super chat. Right, look, my friends, I'm going to go record a summary video of all the Liverpool news from the day. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. There will be a video coming out about 5 o'clock tomorrow. Then I'll be live tomorrow night. Friday is going to be my day off for the week, so just want to again remind you to keep an eye out. We have signed on for a show November the 15th at the Hot Water Comedy Club in the theatre. We were supposed to be in the last time that wasn't finished, so we're hoping to sell it out. Have a full house. We're going to bring Mr. Paddy Doyle along for some singing and some guitar playing, Mr. Carl Porter, and then of course myself and Connor as well. Those tickets will be out soon, so do keep an eye on the Hot Water Comedy Club page, and of course we'll let you know as well. But yeah, thank you for joining me again tonight. The days are running out now and still yet to do anything in the window. So we'll hope for a better day tomorrow. And again, love you all to bits. Thank you for joining me.